had to go and fight afterwards. It is absolutely necessary. I mean, people can quarrel as much as they like, and they say they're expensive. It will cost us, and I'm sorry to tell people, if they believe any government can be elected and not going to take up his responsibility, that's serious to go and be at the table and be able to voice Cayman's position, and then they make a big mistake.
Right.
Mr. Alden McLaughlin felt that way too. And what happened? Cayman got put on the grey list and nearly destroyed the finance industry. And they can say what they like, but they can't beat their way out of that. That's a fact. And he scrambled just before the election to run and sign with some Faroe Islands, which meant really nothing because they were not signing with the G20 countries.
Right.
Since that, we've signed with most of them.
Right.
China, Canada, US, UK itself, Holland, most of the European countries, they were giving us the trouble.
Right.
These are things that you have to do, and if you don't do it, you'll suffer for it.
Right.
So, like my mama used to tell me, if you don't hear, you will feel.
Can we talk about the specifics of your travels to Greenland? In particular?
Greenland came before the
Asia trip.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Greenland trip was dealing with the matter that I ended up dealing with at the finance ministers meeting with the Exchequer. That's the same. That I had to go there to be there in Greenland because in last year meetings they pushed forward this agreement, which I couldn't go, but I sent Mr. Steve McPeel, who was acting for the ministry.
Right.
And we didn't sign and take on board the agreement at that time. And I told them I couldn't sign it because there were some clauses in it that was very nebulous, and obviously they were going somewhere. They wasn't saying where, but it was going somewhere. And I said, this is not going to be long before they come back to us. Well, the UK tried to push it, you know, the governor spoke to me, the UK did. The UK was very pushy about me signing it. And in fact, some of my colleagues here in the region, where other territories were saying, well, Cayman should be signing this. And I said, no, we're not signing this. There's something to this. Sure enough, what came out of that was this request. This year, in the change of the Overseas Association decision, as they call it, the OAD, the European Union put in what I knew was on the table in any way. That is, that our laws should converge to the European legislation on financial services. Well, BEI signed it, we didn't. So I had to go to Brussels, to Denmark first, and then to Greenland to finalize and put our position on the table. At that, UK promised that they would speak for us, and they did speak, but we don't know how strong, because when I went to the ministers' meeting in Tokyo, then the minister, Mr. Osborne, said, look, we will put the Cayman position. Well, this aspect of the Overseas Association decision was supposed to come into play on the end of this year. Well, this aspect of it has been put off. Now, we don't know whether that's good or bad, but certainly they didn't make a decision, and they did not put it in place. So it will be dealt with in January or February.
Just, Mr. Premier, just for the benefit of the listening public, can you give us a little bit more details, or more basic details, on exactly what we're talking about here, and what the benefits of signing or not signing such an agreement would mean for the
Well, it has no benefit, as I said. It is what they are asking us when they say, and the exact word is, shall promote convergence to European Union legislation on financial services. What they're saying is that our financial laws, our laws, should become one with theirs. Well, Cayman don't have any trade other than trading financial services. So what this would do is give them the upper hand. It would make ours useless, and the services that we provide would become useless.
Can they in turn pressure us, though? Because they've been doing a lot of pressuring on other fronts.
Well, they can pressure us, but if they comes forward, then I'll go to court.
Okay. Okay.
I'll go to court. And I don't think they can force us into this. This would destroy. We are on British common law, and all our laws are on British common, not European law.
Right.
It's a difference. It's a difference.
Okay.
And particular financial services, completely different. And that's why they want it. Because they don't want us in the finance business. That's what people need to understand. We are competitors. That's why we have to sign these tax information exchange, because the OECD sees us, as far as the taxation. I think most people understand what their push is, and even the United States.
Right.
They all claim, you got our business. And my thing is, well, you shouldn't tax your people so hard. Then they wouldn't run.
Okay.
We are in the business, not taxation. We are offering financial services, and the money don't stay here. It goes back into those countries to help build up those countries. That's basically what it is. It's a cycle.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bush, we're going to take a quick break here on Talk with the Nation. To our listeners out there, join us again in just a few minutes.
What's affecting our nation? This is Talk with the Nation, presented by the Premier, the Honorable McKeeva Bush on Vibe FM.
Welcome back to the show. Please give us a call if you're listening in at 946-9898. Also, remember, you can join us on Facebook at Facebook/Talk with the Nation, or you can tweet us if you're on Twitter at TWTNKY. If you're just joining us, I have the Honorable Premier, Mr. McKeeva Bush, in the studio with us this evening, as well as our visiting guest, the Managing Director of the Cayman Turtle Farm, Mr. Tim Adams, and the Board Chairman at the Turtle Farm, Mr. Ken Hydes. Before we went to the break, we were talking to the Honorable Premier about his recent business travels representing the Cayman Islands, and what I wanted to address with the Premier at this time is specifically about his travels to Asia and the various countries that he visited there. And, I know at this time that details are few, but he can update us on exactly what those travels were about. Mr. Premier?
As I was saying that, from Tokyo, we went to the Philippines. Now, this trip was arranged by San Miguel Corporation, which is one of the largest corporations in the Philippines, and they presented to cabinet. They came here.
Right.
They presented to cabinet. They presented to our caucus, and we had a consensus to move forward with certain proposals.
Okay.
And so I took the opportunity to visit with them and to sign a memorandum of understanding about moving, relating to aviation issues, but also other possible developments issues, including the building of a 5-star Shangri-La hotel here in the islands. And they had an interest in the runway expansion. To just name a few that were discussed. But some of this is true to its commercial sensitivities. I can't make any announcement, but I'm hoping that within the next 2 months we can, and it's all for the benefit. We'll have benefit of the islands, our people, and of aviation and tourism.
Okay.
And it was a part of promoting. I didn't go by myself. I think it's already been noted that Cayman Airways staff and board members were there.
Okay.
And it is important that we move forward with this, and we were able to sit down with the company that has that kind of capacity, that kind of capability to bring business that can help one or two of our own industries here. That's really what the trip was all about, was promoting.
Right. And not selling Cayman Airways, I think, as some people have rumored.
Well, you see, as I said, is another thing my mom used to say that some tongue say anything, I can learn talk. So the elections are coming up, and so people want to find anything and everything to say and talk what they don't know, instead of waiting to hear facts when facts can be given. And that might not be overnight, but you have to wait.
Right.
Again, you get back to them saying, oh, they want it now. Well, how can you give it now if it's not finalized? So give it in pieces and people take it and talk about. That's what they're doing. they need to wait.
Okay.
And the facts can be given. And we moved from there to Taiwan. We had an invitation from the Taiwanese ambassador to visit Taiwan to specifically address the issue of the new permanent residency regulations and the implementation.
Okay.
The countries in the East are there. Well, let me just say that we have a proposal from Taiwan for us to waive visas so for Taiwanese tourists to visit Cayman.
Okay.
And we have one proposing that with China as well. But that's a strong region, and the people that travel, as I said, they're not floor cleaners. These are moneyed people. They can travel. They can spend.
Right.
They spend in duty-free jurisdictions like Cayman. They buy diamonds. They buy watches. They perfume the most expensive.
Right.
China Harbor alone says they've been visiting here over 124 watches. I'm not talking about $200 watches. I'm talking about $25,000-$30,000 watches.
Wow.
That's just that group of little people have been coming here looking and talking to the Port Authority and KPMG who's handling and Maples and Calder who's handling the port matters. Yeah, over 124 watches.
Wow.
So those people purchased, but we were in Taiwan. Taiwan is more a manufacturing company, but nevertheless, it has tremendous financial services, and there are possibilities for business with us. But what they're saying is that while the UK handles the visa waivers for them, they get to run around. They go to the British embassy in China, and it took them 6. We lost a tremendous piece of business, a huge piece of business, which went elsewhere, because when they went to the British embassy in China, they tell them, well, you go to this department, and when they go to that department, they go to another department, and they say they just can't understand it. 6 months, and they didn't get their visa waiver. They picked up on their business, went elsewhere. We talked to some of the biggest law firms in Taiwan in regards to the PR, which is 3 new pieces of immigration legislation for enticing wealthy people.
Investors.
That's what we want to come here. That's what we're open for.
Right.
Wealthy tourists, wealthy people to come and invest in business. So we are offering them PR. That is, one, they can buy into a business or start a business from overseas and have it located here, and they can get permanent residence on that basis.
Right.
2, there's another permanent residence offering where they can invest in the business and be here on island. And people who have hedge funds, people who have other business here can and live here can get permanent residence based on that.
Right.
And then the third one is that they have a business, they are working in that business, and they're employing Caymanians in that business.
Okay.
And so that one can lead to them getting a passport after 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So these are good, and what we are told by all the Taiwanese and Hong Kongese and Chinese, that this, I didn't particularly push that issue in Philippines, but those were promoted, and when I get back to China, I will tell you that. But that I consider that was a trip well worth it.
Okay.
To be to talk with the Taiwanese officials in regards to the development of tourism and, of course, other business, since we met with the law firms and other business partners there from the Business Council of Taiwan. Then we usually have an annual meeting in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, right.
And so that was all part and part of this visit. And for instance, since 2 years ago, we had begun and dealt with the company registration issue relating to converting a Chinese company name into English and the registration of that company with our registrar. Well, that happens, and we were, if not the only one, one of the first ones to institute it, and business it was good, but it turns out that there was a major spin-off of that issue that the ministry had relayed, or that industry, should say, had relayed to the registrar, but it needed my attention on certain aspects. The registrar still got to take care of it because it's those that are doing the business.
Right.
But after listening to the four of the larger Cayman firms, connected law firms, Maples, Applebee's, O'Jares, several others, Maples organized a big meeting where we discussed some of these things, and HSBC organized a reception which was probably 100 people there for us to for promotion. And so as it went, we were in Hong Kong for 2 days for that, and then we were to the conference in Shanghai. We went from Hong Kong to Shanghai, China, and to promote the PR, speak at our conference that we usually hold there. Maples and Calder also spoke at that conference. Cayman Enterprise City, Economic City, was part of that promotion. And then I had a press conference with the television and radio and TV, and newspapers there, some of the bigger ones, in talking about tourism, investment, and talking about the new immigration matters. And from there, I was glad to get home.
Just out of curiosity, and this question is more on a personal level, but I mean, there are people out there who are, they say, the Premier is traveling, he's traveling again. Just out of curiosity, do you like flying by any chance?
I've been married 37 years, and I don't like to sleep in the bed by myself, and it's not easy. I certainly have grandchildren, and my mother's still alive, so you miss all those things, particularly when you go on a protracted visit that has to carry on. Right. It's not easy. I'm not a good traveler to the extent that I am. You get on an airline, get on an airplane, you're traveling, you never know what happened. Right. So when I get in the plane, the first thing I do is I sit down and pray. Right. And leave it to Almighty God. Yeah. No, it's never a good thing. People think it's just a glamorous thing. Right. It's not good to live without a suitcase. Constantly have to eat restaurant food, which I'm not a restaurant person in any event. Right. It's not easy to do that, but it's something that you have to do as it goes. And if the next Premier don't travel, whoever that be, then Cayman suffers for it. Right. So that is all part of the responsibility. Okay. It's all part of the responsibility. No, I'm not a good traveler like that.
I'm sure that there are people out there who wanted to know the answer to that question.
Yeah. Well, some have been asking, well, boy, you like to travel now?
No. And I kind of thought that would be the answer, and I'm glad that you were able to explain that to our listeners here on Talk with the Nation, so they are clear on the fact that when you do travel, it is for serious business.
At the time, we as I said, I have a family. Yeah. I leave my wife from people. No. The next thing is, the newspapers. You don't say anything about it before you go. Well, which leader, gives an itinerary about where he's going, what he can be doing, what car he can be driving, what airline he's going to be taking, which hotel he's going to stay in.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen like that. Yeah. And even if they don't like me, that's their business. But I am the Premier for right now. The next one comes, he'll choose how he want to do business, but if he don't travel, Cayman would be the worst off for it.
All right, Mr. Premier, thank you so much for being here with us and taking some time out to be able, on your busy schedule, to be able to join us here on Talk with the Nation here on Vibe 98.9.
One question, one thing I'd want to say, that and I don't know if the Cayman Turtle Farm has related this, but we've had a good partnership that I've built up with the cruise industry. The cruise industry is one of our biggest partners at Cayman Turtle Farm. And so this attack is to try to get them to stop from selling business. That's part of it. The cruise industry is I think, making a sensible effort, sensible stop. and look at the right things, the way the turtle farm conducts their business.
Right.
And I'm in contact with the FCC on this.
Okay.
They look at the record, and the record has been impeccable. There's always improvement in things.
Right.
Well, Cayman Turtle Farm has done that, and they're doing so, and you got to give the credit. But one of the questions that has come up is about the expenditure on tourism, and I just like to say that we have cut the tourism budget, and we found it was well over maybe $26 million. Okay. It's down to $19 million. That's why we cut it. We have cut it, and we are still able to manage our tourism products so that we were able to grow our arrivals to the highest level seen for the past 10 years.
And stay over visitors.
It's stay over visitors and well, cruise visitors are down, we know why. Right. But stay over visitors, the best has been for 10 years. So Shamari and that group is doing a fantastic job with less money. We're down to $19 million, and we was, as I said, up to when I took over was 26. So so the area we have not made progress in over the past few years is in the cruise tourism. And simply put, I've just had a letter complaining by FCCA is that our facilities are the worst in the region. That's the fact. We still don't have a cruise dock, and everybody knows about the struggles from that venture or with that venture, the scheming and to the bureaucratic sabotage that I have to put up with. But we're going to have start the construction of that by the new year.
Okay.
That's a total development of about $225 million with a 49-year license, and after 30 years, the developer will go into a share structure of the profits with the Cayman Islands government, with the upland development, and the port we will own. We will own it.
Right.
The Cayman Islands government don't have to put in a guarantee up. We can't guarantee, we can't borrow, but we need the facilities. The big ships are passing, and they're coming out, they're beginning to kind of build another super class cruise ship again. And the two big ones are not we're missing out on this.
Right.
I sometimes I tried to do a program with them, and they got to the point, and then finally they said no, they wasn't going to do so, although at that point the governor was giving me all kind of problems with that plan. But at the end of before we could finish cabinet, the cruise ship came back and say, "We're not going to come. You need your dock. You need to build your dock.
Right.
You need so that we can dock as we do in Jamaica, as we do in Honduras, as we are doing in other destination. Cayman is still top line destination.
Right.
We don't have top line facilities.
And we should point out, Mr. Premier, that those constructions will probably begin in the Spots docking area.
Yes, Spots jetty is atrocious. I mean, it's a shame that we have to have that kind of facility. And I'm not going to sit back and allow anybody to push us to the extent that we can't get started. No, for too long now in my term, I've sat back and listened to bureaucracy get us nowhere while people suffer. All the bureaucracy, it's just too much bureaucracy in this country, and yet the UK wants us to put more and more rubbish. Look at what they just said about they cut 1,000 pages from their planning regulations, 1,000 pages to make it easier for investment, to make it easier for their people to get things done. And here they want me to continuously be to my neck and ears and bureaucracy, and if you don't do it, then you're a crook. Well, for those people that want to take that short view and that mindset, but let them go ahead. I know that my hands are clean. I know that my heart is pure, and I have a duty to do for this country.
Right.
So they can say it's crooked. They can say anything. Right? It's easy for people to accuse you, but it's a serious thing for me to know that people can't pay their mortgage, that people don't have a job, and that people are getting guns pushed in their face. And if the UK wants something to do, or the governor wants something to do, let him quell that. Let him go and deal with this issue of people getting guns pushed in their face and their businesses getting robbed. Let him deal with that. Put every resource to deal with it. But I say this, if people are working, you'll have less crime.
Right.
And that's what we could not get done. Yes, in unemployment, our employment has improved. We still have far too much employment, but things have gotten better.
Right.
I mean, I just had a company today who told me that they had improved on their employment. They got so many Caymanians. This is a financial institution, and we can show it. But there's far too much crime because there's far too much unemployment and people in need. And if we don't do something about that, we can do all the promoting that you want to do. You can go invite people here. They're not going to come if you're crime ridden.
Right.
If they're not going to come, and it's just nearly an everyday occurrence now to see people
being victimized
by crime. And this is not McKeeva Bush's responsibility. That's the governor's.
Okay, Mr. Bush.
That's his responsibility. They should go and sit on his doorstep and tell him, we want jobs. If he got jobs, crime can reduce.
Right.
And we've proven that in the hiring of people at Christmas time. When we've done that road cleanup and cleanup of the country. Burglary.